my god, what a day, chat. What a day. I actually had my internet go down, so it happened at 2 p.m. And I told Sargon and the others, it's like, look, my internet is down. I hope it's gonna come back up. And apparently it did come back up literally 10 minutes after they gave up waiting. But to be fair, Rags also had the problem. Like, he didn't sleep last night, so I think he was happy due to this as well. I'm not sure. I'll have to ask him, but yeah, I apologize. It's my fault this week. I usually try to be on time for the D&D sessions, but this week it was just out of my control. Apparently, a tree fell down on the internet cable. I don't know, like, why the internet cable has to go next to a tree. Like, can't they put it underground? But I think maybe it's like one of those old setups. Like, they already set up the internet connection in this village, and it went through the tree, and then they never decided to bury it. So yeah, I basically was unable to make it. But anyway, right? So we're going to be discussing something that a lot of people have been fascinated, and that is the subject of destiny, right? And I want to say I actually do respect destiny. I know that a lot of people on the right are shocked when I say this. But the reason I respect him is that there is something about him that's very rare with political commentators nowadays, especially on the left. And it's I generally don't think that he's a grifter, right? So, like, if I want to say something nice about Destiny, I will say this: he genuinely says what he believes. Now, what he believes, in my opinion, is not entirely correct or positive, and sometimes he says things that are just batshit crazy. But I do respect the fact that he at least is a person that has principles, right? So he actually what? I tarnished the man's name. Anyway, he actually does, like, say the things that he believes, and you can notice that other content creators don't. Like, other content creators just say what's popular or do what's popular. Like, for example, Hassan Piker, going around and saying, well, I'm not going to play that Hogwarts Wizard game because I'm afraid of my subscribers. Like, that's weak sauce. Very weak sauce. Yeah, I think it's the same with Jimmy Dore, right? Now, just because I respect them as people doesn't mean I agree with them, doesn't mean that I endorse their ideas. It simply means the fact that I respect them more than I respect Vosh or Hassan Piker. Like, you can't tell me that Hassan Piker is striving to help the poor while living in his multi-million-dollar mansion and driving his expensive cars, right? The reason that, yeah, Ethan Klein, also grifter. Like Ethan Klein is the type of person that made himself famous by being edgy and by making jokes that would get you banned today. And then to see him climb that ladder and kick it for everyone else and say, well, actually, like, this is politically incorrect. This is not okay to say. Like, how can you say something? No, like that is disturbing. And one of the greatest takedowns that Ethan Klein had, he had, like, this other guy on his show. I don't know the name of it, but it went viral. And the guy said, it's like, what happened to Ethan? Like, you used to produce stuff. Like, you used to make stuff. You used to create stuff. Now all you're doing is you're criticizing other people. Like, you're sitting in your little chair and you're making fun and criticizing others. And that's your content. And like, I get it. It's easy. It's like a steady income. You don't open yourself up to community guideline strikes. You're not doing anything offensive or edgy. Like, I get why they're doing this. But again, like, the reason I respect Destiny is that he actually got banned on Twitch for defending Kyle Rittenhouse. Like, if you guys forgot, during the pandemic, Destiny comes out and he says, well, look, while Kyle Rittenhouse did the self-defense, he actually got banned from Twitch. Most of the people that he was associated with cut all connections. He lost a lot of money. And I was like, you know what? This is a matter of principles. Like, I disagree with his takes. I genuinely do. I do not think that he's got anything interesting to say in a lot of these cases. But the fact that he stands on principle, even like when all his friends are abandoning him, that's stunning and brave. So, I think in Gears, Ethan said are slowly grinding the rust off ever since the Hamas invasion. Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. There is a way to do activism which is very effective, and the way to do activism that's effective is to make your problem other people's problems. It's kind of like what the environmentalists are doing and failing at it, and I'll explain why. But the idea of like making your problem someone else's problem, it's like, okay, well, look how the last 4 years have been. It's like nonstop talks about white privilege, white people are colonizers, America is systemically racist, blah 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 blah, right? And people like Ethan don't care because it doesn't apply to them. They're already successful, like they're already not like no one is going to accuse Ethan of having white privilege, right? But the moment it's now about like Israel and the Palestine conflict and the same rhetoric as Elon Musk pointed out on Twitter and that he had to apologize for. But literally like the same rhetoric that people learned in universities are now being used against people like Ethan Klein. Well, all of a sudden he's like, well, hold on, like this is a problem, right? Now he wouldn't see that it is a problem before because it wasn't used against him. But the moment people have made it his problem, oh, now he's on our side fighting for, the abolition of these concepts. So this is pretty much like what the environmentalists are trying to do when they're blocking roads and they're preventing people from going about their business. They're basically doing the same thing. It's like, okay, so environmentalism is a problem and we're going to make it your problem. But the reason it doesn't work is that when your road is blocked, when you can't get to your job, when you can't get to the hospital, when you can't get to where you need to be, the reason for that isn't because of global warming. No, it's because the activist twat is in your way. So they're not making it your problem. What they are making is themselves, they're becoming the problem, right? So this is why they don't understand on why the public dislikes them so much. It's because when the left has an issue, they protest like this against the public. When the right has an issue, they protest against the government, which is the source of their problem. So when you're like protesting for environmentalist issues and you're deciding to block a road, you're actually protesting the public. It's you're protesting the people. So you're becoming their problem. Yeah, like the thing with activists is pretty much like if they were to make like global warming your problem, like if for example, and this is what actually they were talking at the World Economic Forum. If there was a water shortage, right? So it's a water crisis. And you don't have water in your home, well, then global warming becomes your problem, right? But if you have some chucklehead activists that are blocking your roads, like I'm sorry, but the problem is the activists. So when they start screaming that the police are abducting them, like I actually heard that on Twitter. So the police started making arrests with some of these activists. Like they wouldn't arrest them in the street, they would arrest them when they get home. The public was like, good. Excellent. Which in my opinion, it's quite concerning because I don't like these tactics. These are Chinese tactics, even if they're effective and it works, right? Specifically going out of your way in order to push for these tactics as a government is disgusting because the same tactics are going to later on be used on other protesters. But the thing is, like, the environmentalist protesters have become so obnoxious. They're more obnoxious than bicyclists and vegans at this point. Although, like, I'm pretty sure there's an overlap between all three. Like, they seem to encompass all the evils of the world. But because of that, a lot of people don't care when injustices are done against them. And it normalizes the injustices. Right? Like, that's actually the biggest issue about this. And I do understand why people think this way. Yeah, it's getting the public to hate the idea of environmentalism, but the public, to be honest, does whatever the television tells them to. And I noticed this during the pandemic. Like, during the pandemic, stay home, stay safe. Everyone is like, oh my god, if you leave the house, you're going to die. Alright? Like, keep your children safe. Keep them in the house. Literally, the next day, Go outside, riot, protest, civil rights. Everyone's like, we need to go outside, get the children outside, push them outside. And then after the protest, like, everyone back inside, and everyone is like, all right, right. It was like a day fucking difference. It was so bad, Chad, that sometimes both narratives were working at the same time. Like, at the same time, you had to believe that you need to lock up your business and not be able to go to work to make money because the pandemic, and also believe that while the business is locked up, you should go out there and protest for civil rights. Like, it was so bad because they had like a timeline where they needed to push these things out because it was the election, and it's like, okay, well, the protest needs to happen now before the election. But at the same time, they were like, well, we need to fuck the economy a little. So they were pushing like both of these ideas out at the same time. And most, like I was looking with shock and astonishment how you have normies like believing both of these things simply because of the television. Like, the moment Putin invaded Russia, do you know what he did? He cured COVID in Europe. It would be very difficult for me to be persuaded otherwise, because the moment he did, you had like all these Ukrainian refugees coming into the borders, and you had to let them in. Like, you couldn't start going, it's like, oh, well, let's see, do you have a QR code? Well, you can't flee Ukraine. I need you to go back and get your vaccination pass. I need to get you to sign online on your website from your rural Ukrainian village, which probably doesn't have electricity, let alone internet access. And I want you to log into the government website, create an account, and get your QR code in order, right? So obviously, overnight, all of these pandemic measures dropped because you couldn't justify. It's like, okay, well, we're letting the Ukrainian refugees in, but if you want to go out of McDonald's, you gotta take your QR code, right? So it just didn't add up. But all right, so let's talk a little bit back. Let's circle back, Chad. Let's circle back to Destiny. I love Destiny. So as I was saying, like, I generally have respect for him, because I do believe that he is, unlike other leftist content creators, he actually does talk about what he believes. But most of the times, like, what he believes is not necessarily true. Like what he believes is not something that I agree with. Like, I respect that he says what he believes, because that shows strength of character. But like the actual ideas and the concepts that he espouses are things that I disagree with. Like, here you have him advocating for open relationships, right?
The reason why I'm in a poly relationship is because I don't give a fuck if my girlfriend goes and fucks another guy, because I know she's coming back to me at the end of the night. Because we love each other. Because I'm a cool fucking person. I know that.
But that actually didn't come back, right? So, like, if you didn't hear it, because I don't know how, like, the sound is set up, but if you didn't manage to hear it, he's basically saying that he is in an open relationship because he's comfortable that his wife is going to come back every single night. Now here's what I think about this issue, right? If you want to live your life in a way that's detrimental, I'm fine with that, right? Because you're a grown adult. As long as you're not doing anything legal, go live your life any way you want. If you choose to tell other people who are trying to warn you about something and you choose to tell them to fuck off, I have no problem with that. You want to live your life in a way that it's bad, that's on you, because it's your life. You want to tell other people who are giving you advice to fuck off, that's on you. But when you tell other people how to live their lives, when you're trying to lecture, when you're trying to moralize, when you're trying to preach, it's like, no, actually how I live my life, you should as well, right? Because I'm open-minded and you're like a closed-minded bigot. That's when I have a problem. When you're giving the public bad advice, when you're trying to give people negative advice about relationships, that's what I have a problem with. Because it's so obvious that, like, why open relationships don't work. Right? Like, you don't even need to be married. You don't even need any of these things. It's perfectly obvious why it does work. It's kind of like this, okay? Let me see if I can organize my thoughts. You know how when you get in love, in the beginning, you get like that strong sensation of attraction? Like when you have a crush. right? Like when you have a crush at high school, or even afterwards, like you meet this person, and you're like literally feeling your heart thumping into your chest. And every single moment you just want to meet more with that person. And when you're finally in contact, it feels so amazing. You feel like all these rush of emotions, right? That shit only lasts for maybe 1 or 2 years. Sometimes it even lasts until you have sex with that person. That shit isn't there to stay. There is a medical reason for it. It's called the negative feedback loop. Like basically, the more you're exposed to the hormone, because at the end of the day, like all of these are chemical imbalances that go on in your body. He didn't sign the prenup. Oh, that's like that's really bad. I don't know what to say. But anyway, right? So when you meet the person, like you have like all these rush of emotions in you, which are caused by chemical imbalances, like they're hormones basically that are fighting in your body. I mean, this can be replicated in a lab, right? Like if you inject the person with the correct hormones, he's going to experience that euphoria. So that only happens in the beginning, right? And it's a mechanism that evolution gave us, so it helps us to find in love, right? To like connect with the significant other. But after you go through like the phases, it stops being like that, right? Like you're not going to end up being attracted to that person at the same level like at the beginning of the relationship. In fact, you're probably just going to treat that person like a roommate, right? And this is like normal. There are a few exceptions to this, of course. Like there are some relationships which are a little bit more lovey-dovey than others. But over time, like especially when you're talking about marriage and you're going to spend your rest of the life with that person, over like 5-10 years, man, like you're not going to get those emotions. So if you allow that other person to be promiscuous, if you allow that other person to see other dudes, she is going to get the exact same fucking emotions she got with you with another dude. Because it's at the beginning of the fucking relationship, chat. Like those things only happen at the beginning of the relationship. The problem is that it's bad for her as well, because over 10 or 20 years, regardless of how much she loves the new dude, she's going to feel the same way for him. She's going to feel like the same sensation of like being with a roommate as time moves on, right? But that is the danger and the reason why most people cheat, right? Because you're looking at someone and you don't understand. It's like he's got like this beautiful wife. He's got like 2 children. He's got a nice house. Everything is working fine, and he goes and cheats. And everyone goes like, why? Why is he doing that? Like, why is he, deciding to shit on the dream that other people would love to have? And the reason is this. It's all hormonal. It is the fact that in the beginning, he genuinely, had a crush on this girl. But as time moves on, the crush just stabilizes and it's almost like being with a roommate that you can have sex with, right? And then he meets this other girl and she gives him like the same chemical imbalance that he had in the beginning. And now like from his perspective, like he's obsessed with this other one, like his heart starts beating, he gets enamored. It's all about hormones. It's all about like the chemistry in your body. So if you allow your wife, or if your wife allows you, because this is not gender related, right? Like if you as a man, if you are allowed by your wife to go see other women, to flirt with other women, you're putting yourself in the position when you can get a crush on a stranger and it can ruin your relationship. So the best advice is not put yourself in that position, right? Like be like, what is it, Mike Pence. Like, Mike Pence had the philosophy that whenever he meets another woman, his wife has to be there. And that's a really great philosophy. I have it as well. Like, if I was to meet now with another girl that's a colleague of mine or someone that's an acquaintance, there is no way that I would meet unless my wife is there. And it makes perfect sense. I have never had this experience in my entire life. Well, I'm sorry, but like most people do have the experience of a crush. What's up with this bedhead hairstyle? I don't know, I have it as well. It's basically like when you're a YouTuber or a streamer, there aren't that many downsides, but like one of the downsides is that your sleeping schedule is out of whack. So, you end up like going to bed at 6 a.m. in the morning and you wake up at 7 p.m. and you have to stream in 1 hour. So you don't really have time to comb your hair. But the biggest problem with the hair, and I'll tell you this as a streamer, is that when you're awake during the night, like right now it's 12, right? I want to get a haircut. Like if I could, I would get a haircut, but there is no hairstylist awake during this point. So what I need to do is I need to force myself tomorrow or the day after to stay up, right? Like I'm waking up at 8 p.m. Like that's when I wake up. I start streaming, and then I need to force myself to stay up until the other day at around 2. So it's very difficult, but it has to be done, right? So many streamers are suffering from this. It's when your sleeping schedule goes out of whack. The headphones don't help either. What is Destiny favorite dessert? The cream pie. Oof. Buzz cut it? No, then it looks awful. Like if I buzz cut it, I look scary. I did try it once, and it intimidated my wife. So no. Well, actually, no. Hold on. It didn't intimidate my wife because I wasn't with her at the time. It intimidated the girlfriend that I was with. All right, let me show you a couple more Destiny clips. Because I used to have them. And by the way, you know, like this thing with 3 people in a relationship, right? Because you have like different types of relationships. So you can have like the open relationship where it's like, well, you can go have as much sex as you want with anyone, right? And I seen like a lot of journalists that were advocating for it. And I'm like, dude, no. Usually it was like during feminism. Like this is funny. It was during peak feminism. And the open relationship thing, it was pretty much like okay, so the woman would say that as a man you should not have ownership over her, so she would be able to sleep around. And I'm thinking like, but you don't really have ownership, right? It's more like you decided to get married, so you swore a vow, basically saying that you're together until death does you apart. So yeah, like theoretically he owns you, but you also own him, right? It's not like slavery. It's like he calls you your wife and you call him your husband. Like he is also expected not to cheat. But again, like through I guess like progressive feminist jutsu, where they manipulate the language and they change meaning of words and stuff, they made it sound like marriage is evil. So you had like all of these journalists saying, yeah, you know, like my wife, she sleeps around and I'm happy and blah blah blah. And I'm like, are you though? Like, are you really? And it's like, well, yeah, because it's fair, because it's equality, you know, I get to sleep around. And I'm like, well, do you? It's like, what do you mean? Well, do you sleep around? Like, how many women did you sleep around with in the last couple of months? How many men did she sleep around with in the last couple of months? Is it equality? Because obviously, you know, it's a lot easier for a woman to get hookups than it is for men. And this ideology was being promoted to the public, that this is the type of lifestyle that you should have, right? And the main problem with this lifestyle that was being promoted is that it's not a lifestyle that brings happiness and fulfillment. And it's not bringing happiness and fulfillment for the woman either. Like, I guarantee to you, you know, like, it's nice to have these flings when you're young and you're, like, finding, like, different guys and stuff. But at one point, you want to settle down and you realize that, well, the type of woman you used to be that wanted to go around and have fun, well, there are other women that have the same type, right? Like, society is not creating just you with that mindset. Like, society is creating a lot of young women with this mindset. So when you want to settle down, the man that you want to settle down with, well, he's with other women that used to act like you did. Like, he's not interested in settling down. Why would he? Like, he's got, like, all these beautiful women that are, you know, like going from flower to flower. Let's put it like this. Why exactly would he want to settle down? So now you're like, all the men that you want are surrounded by women that are behaving like you used to behave, except that they're much younger. You know, like men do not want the rich CEO. No, they want the 18-year-old supermodel. And, you know, like all these women who are much younger, they're the ones that are now occupying the attention of the men that you want. So now you have to go like, oh well, I'm going to settle for this guy, and you're going to be miserable. If this guy even wants you, by the way, because like again, a lot of guys now just tune out. They're like, you know what? I don't need this shit. I'm going to play video games because it ruins self-esteem as well. Like it ruins the self-esteem for men. Like all of these societal insults. It's like, oh, incel. Oh, he's not capable of getting a girlfriend. Ha ha. Right? Like instead of trying to help them out or some shit. Like you have all of these women that treat them like they're worse than dirt, like because they have nothing to offer, you know? It's like, oh, you're living in your mother's basement. Oh my god, you know, what a dweeb. So eventually they internalize that. They genuinely think that they have nothing to offer to society. So they end up staying home playing video games, and they're tuning out of society, right? But anyway, I want you to watch this. Like this is a viral video, which as you can see, it's got like 132,000 views, and it's becoming a lot more viewed recently. And here you have like Destiny. I do not know who this gentleman is, but this is his wife.
Taking any dance classes?
I used to compete in ballroom dancing,
Hey!
so I know all of
You and Ayla.
Yeah, exactly.
Are you guys over here in this
Isn't that
fucking
weird?
perfect form?
I haven't done them in so long though.
Wait, what kind of ballroom? What are you doing?
All the 10 dances. I was
That's
competing
a
all of
lot.
them.
That's a lot. Which
Yeah.
one?
Okay.
Mel
Why
time.
did I say this?
Mel time. It's
Alright.
it's
What's that?
it's Mel
Oh,
time.
she got the form. Okay. So we're just doing salsa or you want
I mean, you can see from his facial expressions that he's not very comfortable with this, right? Like he is very uncomfortable with it. You can see it in his eyes. Like this is the same look that I get when I'm going and searching for historical videos of soldiers from World War I that suffered under days of bombardment. Right? It's like the 20-yard stare, they call it. Thank you, Jacob Andrew, for the 5 live memberships you gave me. It is uncomfortable to watch, isn't it? Like I'm putting myself in his position, and my fucking god, like if someone did that with my wife, I don't know how I would react. But this is like the meme, which is if only you know how bad things really are, like the. And the thing is, like, a lot of people at the time were saying, it's like, dude, this is not nice, right? Like, I noticed people on Twitter that were saying, like, Destiny, are you okay? Like, this is not okay. And his fans, again, like, his leftist fans were gaslighting, and they were saying, no, like, there's nothing wrong with this. It's perfectly natural. Like, they just have an open relationship, and this is perfectly okay. And I'm thinking, like, dude, like, on how many levels of gaslighting are you? Like, that is, like you can see on his face, like, but this is, like, one of the power that leftists have, is, like, you see reality in your face, and they try to convince you that, no, everything is fine. I mean, it can't be fine. Like, look at his face. Look at his facial expression. The man is clearly uncomfortable, right? But what I think is happening, and the reason that he is even in this position to begin with, is because once you start spewing that ideology, like once you're advocating that other people should have open marriages and open relationships, you can't backtrack anymore, right? Like you went public with this, like you went in front of a microphone and you advocated that people do this. Like you told people this is the correct way of living, right? Like bigots don't live like this. This is how good, decent folk, open-minded individuals want to have relationships. And when you notice that your relationship is starting to go bad, is starting to go sour, you can't backtrack and say, you know what, I'm actually not okay with this anymore, because your fans are going to chew you up, right? So it's like one thing when you're, because the thing is, like, as I said, like, I respect Destiny because he has his ideas and he sticks by them, but I think, like, in this situation, he genuinely internalizes the concept, like he kind of convinces himself that this is okay, when it's obviously not okay. Now, I just want to point out that due to the fact that he's getting a divorce, a lot of people are you know, shocked, to say the least. But you know, to be fair, he could have gotten the divorce anyway. So like, open relationship or not, I mean, this is a good argument to make. Like he could have gotten the divorce regardless. If he was in an open relationship. But if he wasn't in an open relationship, it kind of makes it more less likely, you know? Like it's a lot more likely to have these problems of cheating in an open relationship than it's in a closed one. Let me see another video, because there was another one that I wanted to show, and I think like the other one is even more telling. Yeah, like here's what you have, like him going around and explaining to people the psychology of people who call him a cuck. Like, look at this.
You agree that cuck is to open relationship is what hebephilia is to pedophilia. You kind of automatically get called a cuck/pedo, even if you're correct. The problem is that, first of all, it's stupid because open relationships are already a minority of all relationships. The thing about cuck and the open relation comparison is cuck is a projection of a man's insecurity. And a lot of people have the insecurity, so it seems like a valid insult. Like, that's the annoying thing. So, like, if me and a partner enter an open relationship, the reason why somebody is calling me a cuck isn't because they think I'm a cuck. It's because if they were in that situation, they'd feel like a cuck.
How can you do these mental gymnastics? Jesus fucking Christ. How can you do these mental gymnastics? It's like, well, actually, people who call me a cuck, they're doing this because they're insecure. I mean, is it really insecurity if I say don't put your hand on the stove because you're going to get burned? And he's like, well, no, actually, the reason you don't want me to put my hand on the stove is because if you placed yourself in my situation, you would be insecure enough to do it. And I'm like, yeah, I would, because I know what happens. Like there is a thing we call reality, and it applies to everyone. Right? So like his argument is if I tell him, hey, don't put your hand in the fryer because you're going to get burned, like my statement is correct. And if you say, well, actually you're saying that because you have insecurities, you believe that if you're in my position and you put your hand in the fryer, you would get burned. And I'm like, duh! Like, this is not even, I mean, it is an argument, I suppose. It's not a very compelling one.
So it's an irritating thing to find. So it's like, oh, you're crazy. No, I don't want to do cuckoldry. And by the way, people do. There's nothing wrong with that. If you want to do cuck fetish stuff, knock yourself out. Like, more power to you. But what they're thinking in their mind is when they say...
But like, this is the thing, right? Like, he doesn't have the cock fetish. Because I get it, you know, like, there are people out there who legitimately have the cock fetish. Like, and you're kind of born with your fetishes. I mean, they can change over time, or, you know, so you can gain new fetishes over time. You can lose some others, right? And there are, like, legit individuals that do have the cock fetish. They enjoy it. So they do it because that's what pleases them, all right? And the funny thing is, like, I'm not even judging those people. What I am judging, however, are the people who don't have the cock fetish, but decide to, like, oh, I'm going to have, like, an open relationship, which, again, like, it's fine if you want to do that, but when you encourage other people to do that, when you're saying, well, actually, this is a good way of living, and you're going to get happiness and fulfillment, that's what I have a problem with, because it's bad advice. Like, you're misleading people.
That when they say you're a cock, they're saying, like, if I was in that situation, I'd feel like a cock.
If I was in that situation, I would get my hand burned. Yeah, sure. No, absolutely. He's right. I mean, this is why I think some of the arguments that he's making are problematic, is because they're right. But not for the reason that he thinks. Right? It's not like, again, it's not like, well, just because, like, you want to put your hand in the fryer doesn't mean you have to encourage other people to do it. You know? Like, and you're saying, well, yeah, because if I was in that situation, I wouldn't. Yeah, they wouldn't. No one would. No one wants to get burned.
In that situation, I feel like a cock. Right? That's what they're saying. So there's no reasonable discourse we had there, right? It doesn't make sense to call, because I
mean, yeah, if the person genuinely doesn't believe that putting his hand in the fryer is going to get him burned, then there's not much you can talk about, right? I mean, the only thing you can do is allow them to get burned, and then you can have the conversation. But no, unironically, like if it's a person that thinks, like, sticking a metal in the electric socket doesn't get you electrocuted, and you can't convince them otherwise, like, you're doing everything, and you're showing him pictures, it's like, no, like, what more can you do? Like what more of a conversation can you have if the person, like, legitimately doesn't believe that something harmful is harmful? Yeah, he's absolutely correct. There's nothing you can do in that situation.
Also, there's cuckolding is like the male version of the fetish, and there's cuck queening is the female version of the fetish.
I love the fact that he is well versed in this.
There are two people in an open relationship like mutually cucking each other at the same time. Theoretically, I guess you could if you take turns doing it, but it's just like it's an open relationship. It just doesn't make sense to call it a cuck. It's just a projection of somebody else's own like.
Yeah, but like the thing with cock, you know, like again, you have the fetish and you have the insult, right? So the insult basically means that you have no self-respect, right? And this is based on how human relationships work. Like when you are with a woman in a normal relationship, you're supposed to be hers and she's supposed to be you, right? Like it's equality, it's mutual trust and respect. You don't sleep with other women, she doesn't sleep with other men. The moment she sleeps with other men means that you, by being with her, you don't respect yourself. You don't view that you have value, right? It's kind of like that. And the reason is like you don't respect yourself is that you know, or you should be aware that there's going to be a point in time where she's going to leave you. Because of the chemical imbalances that we talked before. Like you can't just meet new people. Chances are you can leave her as well. Like it doesn't have to be like her leaving you, like in the case of Destiny. You can fall in love with another woman. The story means he has no one close that is there to help him. I don't know if he is distant with his parents or otherwise, but he seems lonely. I do agree with that because I looked at some of his latest streams. You know, it's kind of hard to judge a person just by looking at their face. But he does seem to seek comfort and validation from the chat. Which is very difficult due to the fact that, you know, like if I was to seek validation from you guys, I would probably get it because I have like 300 people in the chat. So like 300 people in the chat means that I already know some of your names. Like I know who Pixie is. I know who American Outlier is. I know who many of you guys are. And I kind of get, you know, like the type of personality you have from the chat. Like I kind of get like which type of person I could have like a open, mature discussion with. Like Sok and Pupe is definitely not the person that I would go with, you know. But when you're in Destiny and you have like tens of thousands of viewers, like I don't know how many he's got, but he's got a lot, right? And the chat goes like the Matrix. I don't think like you can get validation from the chat at that point, so. But you know, like he is going through a divorce. I mean, obviously he's going to feel bummed out about it. Like no one is happy to go through a divorce. That no one is excited about it. So I'm not going to judge the fact that he is depressed or that he feels bad. I mean, it's normal, right? Destiny placed himself into this situation and I don't feel sorry for him. However, I take no pleasure in wallowing in other people's sorrow like a pig in the mud. No, I get that. I get that, which is why I'm not cheering it or anything. I'm just saying, like, look, this always was a bad way of having relationships. And I still believe that. Like, I genuinely do believe that. The only exception to this, like, there is an exception, is if you have, like, a friend in the fuck zone, as they call it. You know, like you're single, you're depressed, and there's this woman that, but you don't really like her a lot, and you know, like you just want to be fuck buddies, right? So like if she wants that and you want that, and it's fine, then that's different, right? I know that some conservatives may not agree, but the reality is like, what is the harm that can happen? Like you're not married with her. You expect that this is a temporary thing. You expect that at one point is going to end, and it's just the fact like it's a biological need that both you and her has. Okay, fine. You know, like you're not married. You don't have any responsibilities. That's okay in my opinion. But like when you get married with someone, and there's legal implications, and that's a little bit more problematic. Chat should make sure V's channel never grows so he continues to be validated by us. I mean, it's true, you know, look at Pipkin Pippa. I mean, Pipkin Pippa is, I started following her since the beginning of last year. And she had like 200 people in the chat in the beginning. And she would call out everyone's name. And she actually knew the regulars and she knew the people that was there. There was even a joke that she has like a list of names. She can't do that anymore. She's got like 3,000 viewers, right? I just want to point out that in the beginning when I was talking with her, she was actually horrified about the concept of going on a stream with so many people. I think if you take Pippa in the past and you put her in the shoes today, like she's going to panic. She's going to breathe in the bag. She will not be able to click that start stream button. No, it's a very wholesome thing with Pippa. Like, it's very nice to see someone actually grow through effort and talent. But, unlike Destiny, she actually does have good advice. Like, every single time I hear advice from Pippa, it was sage wisdom. It's kind of like that wisdom that you don't get from the academia. You know, you don't get that wisdom from books. You get that wisdom from living in the streets. In her case, she probably lived in the bedroom, but, like, she managed to get herself educated to a point where she does understand a lot of life issues. You can see that just by how she interviews people. Like, when she interviews someone, she really knows how to get to the bottom of things. She knows what questions to ask. She knows if the person is bullshitting her or not. A lot of people miss the old Pippa, yeah. By the way, she's going to get, like 300,000 subscribers? Like, what did she say she will do when she gets 300,000? Because I know, like, 200,000 was to eat a spider. But, like, what did Pippa promise for 300k subs? Look at the first thing that I got. Holy shit. This is like the first link. Literally. Pipkin Pippa is a neo-Nazi, and here is why. Hashtag Dropkick Pippa. What was this? 1 year ago. I have witnessed a VTuber who always dog whistles to far-right extremists and far-right terrorists. Yet nobody has dared to bat an eye on Pipkin Pippa's true colors. For me, it's time that finally changes. In case you didn't know who Pipkin Pippa is a VTuber who works for Face Connect. It is under this agency that she has been able to say and do things that attract an alt-right, far-right, neo-Nazi audience, especially from Paul and the Kiwi Farm. You know, it's really nice when you find like some of these the Reddit posts or Discord posts and you do a dramatic reading on it. Like here's the thing, when you look at these people, especially in the mainstream media, they're talking about, this is a danger to our holy democracy. Our sacred halls have been violated during the January 6th. You know, like, but they have like these soulless eyes. It's as if they're reading from a prompter. Like they're talking about the world ending. They're talking about the calamity that if you don't care about it right now, your entire way of life is going to be uprooted. You're going to be miserable and depressed, and your family is going to suffer unless you care about that issue, right? This is how they present it. But they present it with such soulless eyes. They present it with such detachment from the actual issue. And the reason for it is that the moment you put emotion in it, the moment you actually say the things with conviction, it sounds like the most ridiculous batshit thing in the world, right? Like the moment you actually put some pathos into the reading, the moment you add a little bit of drama, it sounds like their issues are so fucking unimportant. Because if it's an important issues, right? Like the world is actually ending, a meteorite is calling, and you're using that voice, well, holy shit, I mean, I understand why the person is using that voice. A meteorite is actually falling, you know? But if you're talking about, oh, on the internet, there's this pink rabbit, and she colludes with the spirit of Hitler. You know, you sound like a crazy person. And ironically, people should do more dramatic readings of this. Oh, Rosa Coatl has rated me. Hello, Rosa. Now this is a true Reddit moment. It is. Like, hold on. In case Rosa didn't see we were talking about this is what you get when you search for Pipkin Pippa. Look at this shit. She's a neo-Nazi. Did you know that? She's colluding with the spirit of Hitler. Soon she will resurrect Goebbels, and with her power she will start the fourth Reich. I love it. It's like I have witnessed, and then you have like this depiction of Moses, I guess. In this clip, you can see Pipkin Pippa manipulating her Japanese co-workers into thinking that Kiwi Farms is a good place, when in reality, it is a alt-right, far-right, neo-Nazi honeypot. In a cyberbully honeypot. By the way, that doesn't like honeypot mean that if you go there, the FBI will catch you? Like, wouldn't that be a good thing? Like, wouldn't you want more people to go there? Like, if the FBI is watching? Wouldn't you want to incentivize more bad people to go there? I'm just curious, you know? I'm not an expert in the American lingo, but I'm thinking like that's how it works. It's a true Reddit moment. It is! Rosa Koala, when are you going to get it? When are you going to get like a Reddit post saying like Rosa Coatl is trying to push people to the honeypot? I'm going to try to start the first. In this clip, you can see Pipkin Pippa heartlessly mocking. Oh my fucking god. Okay. But still, this is not responding to my original question, which is what happens when she gets to 300,000 subscribers. Because I know, like, at 100,000, she was supposed to eat a tarantula. But I'm pretty sure, like, she had another one where it's like if she gets to 300,000, she has to do something else. Someone on 4chan on VT probably has access to this shit. Like, I'm pretty sure that someone somewhere knows it. I just don't know where it is and where I can find it. If Pippa is a neo-Nazi, I'm a communist. Actually, it would be funny if you can LARP as a communist. Hold on. How do there is a word that describes communist so accurate in Spanish. I think it's "cami mierda" or something like that. It's a beautiful language where you have like a word that actually insults communists. What about dictionary? Yes, "cami mierda." Like it's actually. Oh, here you go. It means shit eater. Imagine like having a people so oppressed by communists they even like have to create like a slang, a new word, a new slur just for communists alone. Gusan is an. How many do you have? Jesus. I remember that in China there is like an actual letter which describes communist bandits, and YouTube had to ban it, and it actually created a controversy over it. Like they have like this one letter that accurately describes the thing. Vumao, oh holy shit. See, like this is the problem. I only thought that you guys have one word to describe it, but apparently like there's an entire vocabulary just to describe How many words to describe communists do you have in Spanish? Because apparently I keep getting hit with them. I only knew about cami mierda. Yeah, apparently there's another one. Afuera. Afuera. Oh, let me show you the afuera. Hold on. Right, this is my favorite. Let me see if I can find it with subtitles. Afuera English subtitles. Hold on, no, I don't think this is the one. Ah, goddamn it. Why is it only in Spanish? Did they ban the English one? Like, it makes no sense. Man, old YouTube would have found it immediately. But since they tinkered with the fucking search engine, it's so difficult to find something that you want on YouTube. Like, it's such a viral clip, it should be like on the first search results. Ah, here we go. Let me get through the commercials and then and we can watch it together. Holy shit, 30 seconds commercial. Jesus Christ. And of course, it's not the fucking clip. Chat, I really don't like the new YouTube. Ah, here we go. Okay, so the Ministry of Culture, afuera. It's kind of funny, you know, when your nation is starving, when people can't put food on the table, and you have like a Ministry of Culture. I mean, culture is nice, but can we focus on putting food on the table first, before culture?
Ministerio de Ambiente y Desarrollo Sostenible.
The Ministry of Environment and shit. Afuera.
Afuera. Ministerio de las Mujeres y Género y Diversidad.
The Ministry of Women Rights and shit. Out.
Afuera. Ministerio de Obras Públicas. Afuera.
I love the fact that they cut this away, but he basically said, this is the Ministry of Public Affairs out, even if they're going to resist it. And then he goes out, like, I love the fact that they cut the fucking meme and YouTube just doesn't want to allow you to have it, because I'm doing my best to find the video. I'm pretty sure, like, I could find it if I spend more, but it should be, like, on the first fucking search result. Like, this is one of the most viral videos that I have ever seen within the last couple of months. It had millions of views. There is no explanation as to why it isn't on the fucking front page when I search for it. But anyway, right. My favorite point is that he starts removing all of them. Then he goes to the Ministry of Education and it's going like, the Ministry of Propaganda and Indoctrination. Afuera. Viva la libertad. Dude, like the man is pure comedic genius. He is a riot. Like I would like to have a beer with him. Yeah, he definitely gave zero fucks. I mean, it doesn't come up on the first search result. I think like you need to look for it in a different way. I don't know. Oh, I think I found it. Hold on. But it's in Spanish. Like I was trying to find the English one.
Movemos a adoctrinamiento. Afuera.
The Indoctrination Ministry.
Ministerio de Transporte. Afuera. Ministerio de Salud. Afuera. Ministerio de Desarrollo Social. Afuera. ¿Cómo queda el Estado? Ministerio de Capital Humano, Ministerio de Infraestructura, Ministerio de Economía, Ministerio de Justicia, Ministerio de Seguridad, Ministerio de Defensa, Ministerio de Relaciones Exteriores y Ministerio del Interior. Se acabó el curro
The stealing is going to stop. You're going to stop robbing the people.
de la política. ¡Viva la libertad, carajo!
It's basically like, you know, he went with this blackboard, this whiteboard, and it was like filled with various ministries. He had like 40 ministries, and he only leaves like 5 or 6. And he says like, this is the extent that the state is going to be from now on. The stealing and the robbing from the people will stop. Viva la libertad. Oh god, it's hilarious. And it's interesting because I understand the IMF actually likes him because of the budget cuts that he did. So it remains to be seen whether or not his economic policies will be successful. YouTube algorithm afuera. No, unfortunately, no. We can't do the afuera with that. Yeah, it's the full video, but there was like the clip which was in English. Like, I'm an English-speaking person. I would like translations, please. Like, there's already someone that made it, and it was viral. Musk to his HR department. Afuera. Unironically, like, if you go into one of these big companies like Disney or Netflix, like, you can do this. In most companies. The problem is that in a company, unlike a government, if you do this, the other employees walk out and shit. So it's a lot more difficult to do it than you can do it in a government. I think Ronald Reagan did the same thing, yeah. Like he's basically like saying, why are these people in the government and how do they justify their existence? Like, why does the taxpayer need to pay so many expenses for these individuals? Because like a ministry is not just like the minister himself. Like, no, he's got aides, he's got a chauffeur, he's got like, you know, all of these money that goes into paying his wage and so on and so forth. And it makes no sense, right? Like, if your nation is starving, why do you have like the Ministry of Culture? I mean, there was actually this meme in Brazil, which happened a couple of years ago. Like, Brazil is not a very wealthy nation, and yet they had this big, giant football stadium built, and then they got humiliated by Germany as well. I think it was like Germany 7-0 or some shit. So obviously, like, people were complaining. And obviously, like, people were unhappy. It's like, dude, we can't feed our families, and yet the government is taking our money that we could use to put more food on the table, and they're building this gigantic stadium. Like, are we that rich to afford it? It's kind of like, imagine this, you know, like you're in a house with your family, and you're poor, and the wife just buys like a very expensive new fur coat. In fact, this used to be like the subject of comedies back in the day. I remember, I think like the Flintstones had an episode like this, or the Jetsons. I forgot which, but basically like George gets fired by Spacely. He goes home and he finds out that his wife bought like this mink fur coat, which is very expensive, and now they can't afford it. It's pretty much like that. The government is supposed to use taxes to serve people, build roads, but at some point the government gets so big, all the money is going to pay for itself and no more roads. Yeah, that's pretty much like spot on. That's exactly what's happening. I love the afuera is becoming a buzzword in the discourse. Very based. Yeah, like that's the thing, you know, like he's expressing things that most people think about. Like this is why they call him a populist. It's like, if you talk with the taxi driver or you talk with the hairstylist, like they're going to express the same sentiments. But if you talk to a person in the academia, they're going to tell you why the Ministry of Culture or the Ministry of Women's Rights and stuff is pivotal, it's paramount for the existence of a civilization, even if the people are starving. And they're going to explain why printing money is actually a good thing. They're going to explain like all of these things that the average person sees that they're harmful, that they're decreasing their lifestyle. Like they're going to say, no, they're actually great. It's just like the poor people don't understand. And the reality is like, well, first of all, the poor people have a right to vote. And secondly, I'm pretty sure that the poor people understand it very well. Like when you're poor and you know, you get taxed more or inflation fucks you up, you notice it at the grocery store. But if you're rich, if you're Bill Gates, you don't fucking notice it. If you're a university professor, you don't even need to be Bill Gates. If you're a university professor and you get your grants and you get your tenure and you get like your fat wage off of the back of the students, what do they call it? The student debt. Then you don't give a shit. You don't give a fuck. I mean, like if you're a university professor at Harvard, you can get as much money as you. So you get so much money that regardless of inflation or tax issues, it doesn't affect you. It's kind of funny how like the left is constantly complaining about student debt, but they're never blaming the fat rich university professors. It's something interesting, isn't it? You know, like you have all these Marxist university professors, they're acting like they're living in huts or something. But when you look at the places they live, they're living in luxurious mansions. Yeah, student loans, exactly. Something I've just learned is that a person isn't intelligent just because they have a PhD. No, and it's because like the way universities used to be is that they would teach people how to think, right? Like how to have a discourse, how to have a debate. They would teach them the Socratic method. But now it's just like teaching people to memorize something and reproduce it. So yeah, like a lot of people go to university, and I'm telling you this as a person who went to 2 universities, right? Like I went to law school, I went to med school. I should be the person that actually says, no, going to a university is very prestigious. Going to a university is the peak of human knowledge, and you should respect people who... I'm not telling you that. What I am telling you is that literally, I genuinely believe that any person in the fucking world, chat, any person in the world can do med school. I have seen a person which had schizophrenia go through med school. It took him 9 years, but he eventually got it. Of course, well, I'm exaggerating a bit. Like, obviously not every person. If you have someone that's like, you know, like, they're not going... I mean... But the thing is, like, if you're a person with average intelligence, right? So you're able to string words together, and you're able to read a piece of paper and remember it and memorize it, you can go through med school. There are 2 things that prevent people from accomplishing this. The first one is financial income. So if you're a poor person, if you're from a low income place, if you're an undisciplined person, like you don't have a father and your mother had 3 jobs and she didn't have time to raise you, if you're in that situation, you're not going to go through med school because you can't afford it, you can't get in, okay? The other type of person that can't do med school are the people that don't want to study. So they get into med school, but then they go clubbing. They don't read the books. They don't study. They don't want to. And if you're that person, you're also not going to finish. And for those people, med school is hard. But I guarantee to you, like, if you take any person that, again, like, knows how to talk, is able to read the paper, and then remember what they wrote, and that person is going to actually study. Like when they go through med school, they stay at all the courses, and when they come home, they open the textbook and they study. And they do this 8 hours a day, right? So 8 hours is at university, 8 hours at home you study. If they do this for 6 years, I guarantee to you, any person can graduate med school. It is not about intelligence. It's about discipline, and it's about wanting to accomplish it. And of course, having the means to. And this is true for most universities. It's probably like not true for math and physics, where you need to like understand and use logic. But most of the things in med school, you don't need logic. You don't need to know that the collarbone is called the collarbone or what it's connected to. It's not fucking logical. It just is what it is. Like anatomy is the way it is. It's like a map, right? Like there's no logic on why Texas is in the South. It just is in the South because that's where it is. And that's how it's called. And the capital of Texas is whatever the fuck. I'm a Romanian, I don't know. But it is what it is because that's what it is, what it's called. It's not necessarily logical. Like there's a lot more logic in mathematics and physics, right? In medicine, like you do have some logic, but even if you don't understand it, even if you don't get the logic mechanism for it, you can still manage to learn it. Houston? Oh, I see. Gotta have 100 IQ though. Again, I have seen a person that could barely string words that managed to get through med school. It took him 9 years, but he did manage to get through it. So yeah, like my point, people who go through universities, and I think like med school already has like some standards that other universities don't. Like if you just went through gender studies or some other bullshit, like so what? Like so fucking what? They go, okay. U.S. Army is minimum IQ is 83. I mean, maybe, you know, like again, when I said that everyone, I assume like people that are able to function properly, right? So like if you have like a mental disability or some IQ coefficient which literally doesn't allow you to be able to read a paper and reproduce what you wrote, then yeah, I mean, maybe your job is to drive trucks. Driving trucks is also really wholesome. There are people who like driving trucks. Like there is like this stigma and this disgust and disdain for the working class that I do not understand why it exists. Like you see a person that's middle, like my favorite thing is when I had like some colleagues at law school, and I managed to get a job. Like my first job that I got was it was called a medical registrator. It's basically like you're working at a desk and you're compiling statistics. You're adding up like what the hospital has spent. So you're doing that, and then you're also like the doctors would write things on a paper, and you had to transcribe it into the system. Whatever, it was a menial job basically. Like you didn't need a university to do it. And this was before I went to med school. Like it's the job that I got after law school. And a lot of the colleagues that I was with at law school, they're like, "Oh, you got that job? Why? Like isn't it beneath you?" And I'm looking at them, and it's like, okay, but what job do they have? And they were unemployed because it was during the banking crisis, and finding jobs was difficult. So they're unemployed, and I'm looking at them, and it's like, wow, like they look so down and with so much disgust towards what they called menial labor, basically like jobs that you don't need a degree to do. And they're looking with such disgust and disdain, and it's like, but I like doing it. Like, ironically, I liked working at McDonald's when I did. I liked working at KFC. I liked working at all the jobs that I did. But they're looking like that at truck drivers. They're looking at it, like they literally believe that truck drivers, they must hate their job. Like, all of them. Like, they're suffering. It's almost like hell. This is the mentality that many city folk have. It's like, you need to do universities in order to avoid the menial jobs. This is how they even phrase it. Avoid the menial jobs. Is eating beneath you? No, they have welfare. They still eat. People aren't getting coding classes at law school. It's pointless. I mean, coding is like the pillar of society, you know? Like it's fine. You don't need coding to go to law school. But coding is definitely being viewed as a menial job now. At least that's how the journalists view it. That's why the journalists hate to be told to learn to code. They literally view it as being told to become like in the mines. That it's demeaning for them. Truck drivers are shit because they are unhygienic and prone to criminality, not because they are poor. I think it depends on the truck driver, doesn't it? Like, what? You're going to say that there are no corrupt lawyers? There are no corrupt judges? There are no... I'll tell you this. Okay, let's say you have a truck driver that's a criminal or whatever the fuck. How many people does he affect with his crime? Now think about a politician. If a politician is corrupt, how many people do they affect? And yet for some reason, being a politician is viewed with more respect than being a truck driver. The thing with truck drivers are poor is also funny. Like, truck drivers used to be poor. Unironically, like they used to be, right? Like, the reason they were poor is because there were so many people willing to be a truck driver, right? But when everyone gets an education, most people go to universities like gender studies and shit, and they end up obviously like super saturating the market, and they don't want to be truck drivers. So now there's fewer people that want to be truck drivers, and then you have like the environmentalist legislation, which is like making your trucks need to be like of a certain specification. Sorry. They're forcing your truck to adhere to certain like pollution standards or whatever. And then what ends up eventually happening is that you don't have that many truck drivers. Now there's a shortage. And now they get paid like during the COVID. I remember I had a subscriber of mine. He was getting like $6,000 a week. And I was like, how, dude, like how the fuck? How can you make that much money? Like that is an obscene amount. And it's like, yeah, but the hours are hard. And I'm like, dude, if I was making $6,000 a week, I would sacrifice like 6 months of my life, or maybe 1 year, and I would actually work those hours. And I know it's hard and it's hell, but think about it. Like at the end of the thing, you're going to be so wealthy, you probably wouldn't need to work a single day for 20 years. Like you can start a business at that point. You can invest. Like if you're making $6,000, holy shit. This was like during the shortage, the truck shortage, right? Like how much is that? 6 times 4? I'm not a doctor. I'm not a mathematician. I'm a doctor. $32,000, right? Am I correct? Jesus. Oh, is Arch raiding me? Why? Thank you, Arch. Thank you. Now that you're here, I guess we can warn people that look at this. Hold on. Did you know that Pipkin Pippa is a Nazi, Arch? You need to stay away from her. Like if you Google Pipkin Pippa, literally the first search result that you're going to find, this is on the top of the Google search pages, is that she's a neo-Nazi, and here is why. And apparently it's because she dog whistles to far-right extremists, Arch, and far-right terrorists. I find it funny that they always say like far-right terrorists as if like there is a difference between far right and left right terrorists, like far left terrorists, right? Like which one is worse? Because they're the ones that are making the separation. Like I think that terrorism is terrorism, like all are bad, but apparently that they're usually putting like far right in front of terrorism. So I start to wonder, it's like, do they like left wingers, or do they say that the left wing is actually worse than the far right? So Pipkin Pippa is dog whistling to these people. By the way, like, if you say far-right terrorists, do you have to say far-right extremists? Like if a person would be dog whistling to terrorists, like, does it matter? Like obviously it includes extremists. Like, can you be a terrorist and not be an extremist? Look, I'm not a master of the English language, but, like, these things start bothering me. Like, when you use all these redundancies, they don't make sense. Yet nobody has dared to bat an eye on Pipkin Pippa's true colors. So, like, again, the savior mentality, right? Like everyone on Earth is unaware of the problem. But luckily, this guy opened his internet and found the pink rabbit. For me, is that finally changes. Okay, in case you didn't know who Pippa is a VTuber who works for Face Connect. It is under this agency that she has been able to say and do things, right? So it's not her human right. It's not like her constitutional right to say and do things. No, the agency empowered her. The Chad Fishman has gave her the abilities. And she is now attracting outright far-right neo-Nazi audience. This is on the first search result of Google. It's interesting, isn't it? Like what Pippa needs to do is to get into office for the Democrats. You can't do this if you're a conservative. No. You need to get into office for the Democrats, and then Google is going to make sure that your search results are pristine. By the way, for the people asking why I didn't come to Dungeons and Dragons, I had no internet today. I recently found out that a tree has fallen on the internet cable, much to my bewilderment, because I don't understand, like, why is the cable going through the trees? Like, it's 2023, can't you put it underground? But I guess, like, the infrastructure is a little bit old. So, due to that, I wasn't able to make it to D&D. And the annoying thing is that the moment the internet came, it was like 10 minutes after they actually discussed about canceling it. So, if I was a little bit earlier. Journalists sway public opinion and then try to think analytically to be a problem solvers. Coders are the reason your article is on a web page. Kinda. I mean, yeah, sure. But that's like saying that the reason the truck comes to your house is because of the construction worker that made the concrete. You know, it's like, it's true. But coders do what the company tells them to do. So if you work for Google and Google tells you, yeah, I want this Democrat to not have any negative search results on the top page, it doesn't matter what you code. You're going to code what you're told. So, where is D&D Trader? I already explained that. How am I streaming? The internet came back, I just said. It came back like 10 minutes after they decided to call it off. But to be honest, Rags also said that he didn't sleep last night, so it was, I guess, like, good for him. It was beneficial? I don't know. Right, so now that we have more people, I guess we can watch more Destiny clips. Let's see. This one, oh, I forgot to show this one. And this one is the most disturbing one. Like, when was this taking place? 3 years ago, right? So, like, 3 years ago, you could see that some of these problems would arise.
Give him a little kiss on the cheek.
I'm not okay with it.
Ew, you licked it. Who licked somebody's face? She just licked his face.
That's okay.
You're getting cut.
Why would he say that?
Who licked somebody's face? She just licked his face.
That's okay.
You're getting cut.
I mean, let's be real.
So, like, okay, I mean, this was the most difficult video to watch, because I'm genuinely, like, trying to understand it. Hold on. I'm genuinely, like, trying to understand what's happening. So you have, like, this guy, right? And he's a shitstirrer. I think it's like a Twitch event or something. Like, obviously, people are trying to get content for reactions. Right? So like, you're trying to put people in an uncomfortable position in order to get, like, something funny and hilarious on camera. So you're asking this man's wife, right? Like, you know that she's married. You're asking to kiss this guy on the cheek. And the expectation is that she won't do it. Right? Like, it's something that's not nice to do. But again, like, you're a shitstutter. You're a Twitch streamer. Like you gotta get the content. You gotta do these things because that's what the public wants. So you'd expect that she would feel uncomfortable and, you know, like, she would maybe make a joke or she would say no. But not only does she kiss the guy's cheek, but as you can see, right, like she licks it. So this is where Destiny comes in. And he's like, well, I'm not okay with it. But you can see like on his face that like right here. Like you can see he's really not happy with what happened. She is though. Like she's enjoying this. And then Destiny has to justify to the audience now, right? Like he's on a stream, like he's pretending to talk to the guy, but in reality, like he's talking to the public. I'm pretty sure like if the cameras are off, the conversation may have been different. And he's trying to be like, no, I'm okay with it. And look at her face. Look how, like, why would you put your man in this position? Right? Like even if you have like this open relationship and you're basically thinking it's okay for you. You know that the public doesn't like it when a man is going to have his wife licking someone else's cheek. Like, you know that it's going to embarrass him in public. So the question is, like, why would you do that? You know, like, one of the worst things that you can do as a man, in my opinion, is to embarrass your wife in public. Like, I would never do it. Like, there are certain things that you just don't do. You know, like even if your wife is wrong, even if your wife does something bad, you as the husband, it's your responsibility to make sure that you don't embarrass her in public. And after the event is gone, like after the cameras are off or whatever, then you can have like the actual conversation of what happened. But like when you're in public, it's common sense to try to make your wife feel comfortable. It's worse than Will Smith and his wife, I think. So, yeah, like, there's no way that this isn't on purpose. You know, you have this ideology of feminism, which tries to lecture people that men and women are the same. And I genuinely don't think that they are the same. And I'll tell you, like, one of the most big differences that I noticed, and any man is going to agree with me with this. Like, I genuinely didn't find a man that disagrees on this topic. Like, women love to be told that they're loved. Okay, so like it's almost like a ritualistic thing. Like you constantly have to tell your woman that you love her, that it's going to be okay. Like you gotta do this like once a week. They feel good. Like if you want her to feel good, just tell your wife you love her. You know, give her a hug. Tell your mother you love her. It's not like sex related. It's also like family. Like telling your grandma that you love her. Like all of these things are important for women. For men, it's not as much. Like, if my wife doesn't tell me that she loves me, I know. There's this thing that self-esteem, like I am aware. Like, if she doesn't, she will tell me if something changes. What a man wants the most is to be told that he is respected. Like, it feels a lot better if your wife says that she respects you, especially if she shows it, than if she says that I love you. You know, I mean, it's not bad to hear I love you from your wife, obviously. But it's not as impactful as when she says I respect you. Or when she shows that she respects you. And like I think like the worst thing that you can do to a woman is to say that you don't love her, right? Like to say that you hate her or to be to give her ignorance, like to ignore what she's doing and pretend that she's not there. Like that's worse. And what's worse for a man is to disrespect him in public. Yeah, a proper woman wouldn't disrespect you in your face just behind your back. Even that is fine. You know, like if she's going to disrespect you. And honestly, you know, it's going to happen in any relationship. Like in any relationship, you're going to do something that upsets her. And then she's going to talk with your friends. And this is how like they unload the negative energy and whatever. You know, but men do the same. Like don't you know that guy that comes to you and says, oh, my girlfriend is a bitch. She did this and this and that. Like it happens both ways, right? But at least you're not being disrespected while you're there, and it's not done in public. Like, it's one thing if it's done behind your back, you know, among her friends. And she's basically saying, oh, well, you know, like, he did a mess in the kitchen, or whatever story she has, which is disrespectful. But anyway, right, so, it is what it is. Men are naturally possessive of things. Women are possessive of options? I never heard that before. Speaking of money, right? Like someone asked me, V, you keep complaining that Hollywood doesn't know how to do strong masculine women. Like how would a strong masculine woman look like? Like what would be the type of woman that you would consider is like oozing masculinity? Right. And this is great because it goes to show how men are attracted to different things than women are. And in my opinion, I think that this is the most masculine woman that I have ever seen. Like this is masculinity in its purest form. Right? I'm not going to play the music because it may be copyrighted. I don't know if they like each other, but I think like from this video they may. And this video is viral now on Twitter. But hey, you know what? Like this woman is a provider. What can I say? I mean, look, probably fake, right? Because it's TikTok. But there is something about it that I don't know. I think you would feel safe next to this lady. What do you think, chat? Well, probably it's fake, but like if it wasn't, okay, like let's analyze it from the perspective that it's not fake. What would you make of it? If you look wrong, she's going to eat you. You know, there are people who actually like plump women that they're called chubby chasers. So I'm not going to judge. I mean, if that's what you're into and that's what you like, I mean, that's fine. People in the chat already know the terminology. Yes, it's a chubby chaser, isn't it? You keep telling a chick you love her. She has you as an option no matter how she treats you or how she shacks up. I think it's a simple answer for a much more complex problem. Why did Arch send you here? To suffer. Alright, so I think, hold on. Should we end the stream or do I have like one more things to show you? I think there's probably one more Destiny video that we haven't explored yet. No, actually, we went through all of them. Right. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it. By the way, the people that are coming from Arch, how is Warhammer 40k? Is it any good? I see Arch playing. I know that it's out. I haven't bought it yet. So should I buy it? That's the question. I really dislike the system. I gotta say, it's very difficult to get into a system where death comes really easy and almost everything is a miss. Is that how the game is working? It's grimdark? Yeah, Rogue Trader. It is good, so I should get it. Alright. Well, thank you for the advice. In that case, I will make the purchase. I'll see you guys tomorrow on the Archcast. If you guys come here earlier in the stream, it's going to be more entertaining than this was. Because this is towards the end. I ran out of material when you guys came in. Like, Arch, warn me when you do these things to me, my brother. This it was putting me on the spot. It's like, what do I show these newcomers? I already showed everything. So, gonna make the video on my main channel and my secondary none. And I'll see you guys later. Take care.